Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly and welcome to West Hill and this video in which we're looking at the 7 biggest practice mistakes. We're going to take a look at everything from building fundamentals, how you practice under pressure, what you do with the final ball of a session, look at those things that those mistakes that people regularly make and how to avoid them. In this video we are joined by Alex Elliott. He's a PGA professional. He's going to provide all the advice you need to make sure that your valuable time spent on the range is spent in the best way possible. Guys, if you're new to the Golf Monthly channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the like button if you like what you're watching. But let's head over, meet Alex and find out what the 7 biggest practice mistakes are. Okay, so the first one on our list relates to the way in which you kind of assess how you're practicing. In particular, Alex, it's about where to video your swing from. It's one of the points that you came up with. Where should you be videoing from and where shouldn't you be videoing from?
For me, for example, if you get an online lesson, it's really important that you get the camera angles from the right place. For one, coach is probably going to want it from down the line.
Okay.
And from face on. And even if this is you just videoing your swing to do some self-analysis, it's really important because getting it from a different perspective will make your swing look slightly different.
Okay.
So my go-to angles are at 90 degrees face on.
And what do you see from that angle? What are the things that people should be looking out from that angle?
I guess from that angle, the kind of general things would be swaying, which a lot of people would be looking at in their swing. So swaying off, sliding through, width of the backswing, club face to impact, hands ahead of the ball.
But if you're slightly off the angle, it might look as if your ball position's too far back, like you're way ahead of the ball through impact when actually you're not, whatever it might be. So actually you need to keep an eye on those things.
Definitely, and then you could actually start critiquing things in your own game that don't need critiquing, and then you could go off the boil and actually think, well, why is it going off the boil? And you could actually think, because of you got the camera in the wrong angle, this is one of the reasons why you're going off the boil a little bit.
Which you don't need any more help in playing bad golf. I certainly don't. And then what about down the line?
Down the line, for me, this is where everybody wants to get the videos from.
Yes.
We all look at it from the classic over-the-top move. Am I into out? Am I shallow in the club? For me, really nice and simple. You can get a tripod, very inexpensive, getting off most online retail stores, and a holder for your iPad, a holder for your camera phone. And
why? Okay. So here's sometimes I have been known to do this in the past, going to the driving range, putting my phone down on the floor, sort of propped up against the wall, filming myself from ground level, but that's not good.
No, just again, from the same point of view, from looking at it from face on, it's going to look like a slightly different move. If you took it down at kind of ground level, I kind of guess you're looking at more of what the club's doing at impact.
Right.
Because you're going to see a lot more of what's happening at ground level.
Whereas you're not going to see necessarily as well what's happening at the top of the swing.
And from that perspective, being down there, it could look like the club's coming slightly over the top. If you had it a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, it's going to look like it 2 different swings, even though it could be the same swing.
So where exactly should it be then, Alex?
Really nice and simple. A lot of time in a bay, it kind of got right angles if you're on a driving range. I like to have it at hand level, so hand level left to right, and hand level up and down, because that's going to give you a good perspective of what the overall swing is doing.
Okay, fine.
And if you get a tripod, 1, it's steady, 2, you can get the same height every single time. And again, going back to constants, repetitiveness, this is all what we're searching for in our golf swing.
Yeah.
So why not do it when we're actually analysing our swing as well?
Okay, fine. Fine, okay,
Right, I've got you on camera here.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah. I remember where I'm aiming. Okay, number 6 on our list relates to not warming up properly. Alex, I know this, for everyone watching this, it's not the most exciting topic, is it, warming up?
Definitely not.
But it is important, isn't it? And we're not going to talk about exactly how to warm up because we've produced video content on that in the past. You'll be able to find that on the YouTube channel. But Alex, talk about what the mistakes are that people make and why you really need to avoid them.
I think we're all so self-critical about what our ball's doing. So if we're working on a certain thing and we're, say for example, we're trying to draw it with our coach, which is a common thing everybody tries to work on, we get on the range and we expect the first ball to be a draw. And we almost become so self-critical and so kind of predetermined about what the ball flight's doing at the start, that can certainly ruin our range session.
Okay, yeah.
So even going out there and saying, right, the first 10 balls and putting 10 balls to the side and saying, right, this week on this practice session, I'm going to use my odds. I'm just going to hit a few away, not worry about ball flight, and almost kind of detach myself from ball flight And then say after those 10 balls, that's when I start looking at my swing.
And are you starting off slowly and building up pace, or you've already done your stretching before that, so you should be starting at full pace?
I mean, I would always start with pitching wedge or kind of one of my wedges, build up through to 7 iron. So for example, today I'd start with a pitching wedge, then probably go 8 iron, 6 iron, 4 iron, and maybe then 1 driver, and then back down to kind of hitting the lower irons just while I warm up. But ultimately, if we can just get tuned in to just getting a bit of contact on the ball.
Yes.
And the ball going down the range, not even specifically towards the target yet.
Yeah.
We don't attach ourselves to bad images, bad history, and then when we get into the session, we can set the tone of the session when we're actually warmed up and working on our specific things.
Yeah, so you can end up starting off on a fairly negative point, which can then affect the whole thing. Right, Alex, go and hit one for us so everyone can see how they hit. Not hit many, so this is good. This
is actually a true reflection.
We're not worried about where it went. It may have gone straight towards the target, but Alex, we're not worried about where it went. So there you have it. If you are heading to the range anytime soon, make sure that you do a little bit of warming up before you start working on your swing first, because if you don't, you could ingrain a few faults and a sort of negative attitude towards what's going on that could affect you in the long run. Okay, so number 5 on our list is something that we all do from time to time when we go to the range. You hit one shot, you look at it, you walk off the mat, you come back on, you hit another one, and you've not really thought too hard about your alignment. Alex, why is that such a big problem?
For me, there's really 2 main reasons. Firstly, just a good habit of getting square alignment. You get on the golf course and you've got your alignment on the range good. Hopefully then you transition that to the course. So, for example, if I was aiming straight down at this yellow flag here, if I didn't have a reference to where I was aiming and I built a habit of aiming a little bit to the right every time.
Which we do. I mean, people do. I mean, even the pros do it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you take that to the course, well, then you could start missing it to the right. Or vice versa, you could actually make compensations in your swing of working a little bit left.
Yes.
So you could adapt to where you're aiming, and you could swing it to adapt to where you're aiming. So I really think square alignment is number 1 important for just general alignment to target. But my second biggest point is it's reference to ball flight.
Okay.
If you've not kind of got a reference to where you're aiming or alignment sticks down on the ground, and we'll show you that in a second, you could start predicting a ball flight and actually see a ball flight that travels right to left. But that's a ball flight that could start left of target and move further left.
It's a pull hook.
Exactly. Like if we look at the definition of a draw, it's a ball that starts to the right of target and comes onto target.
Yes.
So if we know what target we're aiming at, we know what our actual ball flight is.
Yeah.
So we got on the course, we know what we've got coming out of our locker this week.
Yeah. Okay, well then that begs the how do you do it? Obviously, a lot of you out there, I'm sure, will have alignment sticks. If you don't worry, use your golf clubs. They do exactly the same job. So how would you set up?
Really nice and simple. I kind of like call it the train tracks. I can use 2, 3 alignment sticks. Firstly, I would always set my ball to target line out, and I always like to put this in front. So if we go straight down towards this yellow flag here, make sure the ball's on that. Secondly, then we're going to put our feet line, and for an ideal scenario, this is someone who's just aligning to a target. If you were drawing it, you'd move your feet line slightly to the right, slightly to the left, but just to have a baseline to what target you're going at, I like them to have my feet running parallel to this. So I'd have 2 parallel lines, one for my ball to target line, which I like to have in front, because I really think that gives you a good visual and something to take to the course. It's almost like a shot tracer, pointing where you want it to go, and then get into a good habit of having these feet running parallel.
Okay. And then the last one as a midpoint reference to check that your shoulders are aligned.
Shoulders aligned, where my hands, have I got a reference? My hands look too far ahead, too far back. And ultimately, I think golf's easier if you think of it in straight lines.
Yeah.
If we, right, okay, this is my target, I'm trying to aim towards that, rather than the guesswork of going, where am I?
Yes.
Where am I at?
So there you have it. If you're going to the range, you're probably doing so because you want to get better at golf. And if you want to get better, you have to lay these foundations. They will make a big difference to the quality of your alignment and your swing as well. Oh, slightly out of the hill, but it'll do. Alex, this next one is one I'm definitely guilty of. My favourite club in the bag is definitely my driver, and when I go to the range I probably hit more shots with this club than I do any other club, partly because I'm trying to enjoy my range time, but maybe that's not the best way to improve.
No, I think a lot of people, whether that be driver, favourite club is 7-iron notoriously for some people, and you get into a rhythm of just searching for your favourite club and practicing with your favourite club. So we get to the course, so for example you like driver,
Yeah.
you get to say a 6-iron that you told me you don't like as much, you get in a situation where, well, oh, I don't know about this one because I don't actually hit any shots with it.
Practice with it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the best and simplest way to do this, with each session, right, okay, I'm going to hit my odds this session, so my odd irons, and then I'm going to go and hit my evens. And then ultimately we're spreading our wear, one, across our club, so our equipment lasts a bit longer.
Yeah, so you don't have that spot in your 7-iron that gets absolutely battered where the rest of the golf clubs are okay.
I'm guilty of doing the 7-iron too much, so I just think ultimately the more you can practice like you do on the course, you're going to be in a better situation.
Yes.
And we know we don't follow a 7-iron with a 7-iron with a 7-iron very often. We might be a 7-iron, might be then be a 5-iron, might be a 4-iron.
Right, so you're mixing up the length of the shaft, you're changing ball positions,
Exactly.
and like those subtle changes that you're having to make out on the golf course.
Definitely.
So question then, Alex, a lot of people watching this, they will have problems specifically with a certain club, and I suspect a lot of people will find that it will be with their 3-wood or maybe like their 3-iron or 4-iron is a club that they, whenever they have to pull it out,
Yeah.
they do so with a bit of dread. What's the tactic to improve those areas?
For one, pull it out on the range. I really think if you were to pull that club out, I wouldn't leave it to the end of the session. I would use it in the kind of middle of your practice session. So once you're warmed up, once you've hit a few shots, you've got into a bit of rhythm and say, right, for these next 10 shots, I'm going to hit my 4-iron, for example. A lot of people don't like long irons. They try and get it into the air and find a way of hitting it. Because on the golf course, there's no pictures. All we need to have is an ability to, okay, with the long irons, especially for your club golfer, we're not expected to get it that close. It's sort of that kind of medium gap where, okay, we've got to get it near the green and then give us a chance of getting up and down. If we hit the green, fantastic. Because it's a big thing. I think if you get into the range and you get your 7-iron, you're always hitting it, or for you, Neil, who likes the driver, and you're seeing the driver go down the range, mentally you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this one go. You get then your 6-iron out, you've not seen that go as much.
Yeah.
Straight away, mentally, you're on the back foot.
Yes, and you're set up, and you naturally your address position, you're kind of ready to hit driver, and then you stand over a 6-iron, you just feel it all feels a bit alien,
Exactly.
a bit different.
Right.
So there you have it, really simple stuff. If you are heading to the range, practice with a vast majority of clubs in the bag. Don't just stick to your favourite one. Okay, so the next one relates to pressure. A lot of people out there, Alex, will know that they probably should incorporate a bit of pressure into their practice. Question I've got for you is, can you really replicate the pressure that you feel under on the golf course, and can it help?
I guess you can never really fully replicate it, but you can definitely go a long way to making a scenario which replicates it as close as you can on the range.
Okay.
So the best way I do it is if you get your iPhone or your smartphone out and you've got a note speed on your phone, and say we're on driver at the end of our session, we're going to go 10 golf balls, we're going to set a fairway, and we're going to have 10 shots written down on our phone. And I want to have a tick if we hit the fairway,
okay,
left, right, and almost set a benchmark, okay, where I am this session, okay, now I've got to beat that every single time.
And don't cheat, right?
Yeah.
The temptation to cheat will be there, but try not to. So Alex, in this situation, where are the two, what's the fairway?
I'm going to pick, you can see the kind of orangey tree on the right, I'm going to use the left edge of that one,
yeah,
and then the same on the left. We've got kind of two trees here.
It's quite a tight fairway.
Practice
Is that not
hard.
tight? Oh, I'd be giving myself much more leeway for room than that. Go on then, Alex, hit one for us and then tell us what you'd then be writing down.
Yeah, another point though, if you set a smaller fairway, then we get on the golf course, it's then going to feel a little bit easier as well.
Well, that's true, but my worry would be that I would have no confidence when I got to the golf course, because I'd feel like I'd missed all the fairways before going out to play.
Positivity here, that's what we want.
Yeah, that's what I'm lacking.
So I'll go through my full routine as well with each shot. Right, shot number 1.
Oh, it's depressingly straight down the middle there, Alex. What are you writing down there in your notepad? You just put a big tick next to it.
And we've got the emojis on our phone, and I think it's good. You put the big green tick, put whatever you've got on your phone, because going forward mentally, if you can start seeing repetitiveness, okay, well, I've hit that fairway, you'll not only build confidence, but you'll probably also develop a stock shot as well.
Yes.
And having a stock shot is so powerful.
You know, a move that you can make that you know you can get the ball. Now, question for you then, Alex. I know this is something that a lot of mental game coaches sort of talk about. Are you, when you're out on the golf course and you're under pressure, are you kind of, is there any part of you that's sort of picturing this sort of scenario on the range?
Definitely. definitely. I think whatever you can do, if for example you're coming down the last and you're on to beat your handicap by 2 shots, we all get a little bit nervous, we know we're going to lower our handicap now. You can go back to scenarios and actually no, I had a tighter fairway on that range, I hit it. So you've got that belief that you can go forward and carry that to the course.
So there you have it. I mean, golf, without question, is one of the most mentally demanding sports you can play. You can prepare for it on the range if you put a little bit of this into play. Okay, Alex, next one, machine gun practice. Something that I've definitely been guilty of in my time. What's the fault? What do you see people doing? If
you were to walk down the range now at your local driving range, you'd see someone hit it, pull another ball, hit it, pull another ball, and especially if they're struggling with their game and on a club that they don't like, pull, hit,
hit, where's that gone, disgusted, pull another one in, have another go.
Exactly, and you don't really take into account what you're doing in your swing. You're searching for a different feeling every single time, and I think it then almost becomes a little bit of guesswork to actually, how do I get the ball from A to B the best possible way?
Yes.
So if we're someone who takes lessons, or even if we're not someone who takes lessons, just taking a little bit of time in between each shot, one, it replicates what happens on the course. We've sometimes got 5-10 minute break on a par 5, waiting on the tee. We haven't got that ability to go, oh, I've got another one to go here. Or, okay, that wasn't good, right, okay, reload, I got a second go at it. We know we only have one go on the course.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So I kind of come up with a thing, and this is something that I do with a lot of people that come for a lesson, is a 5-ball set, I call it.
Okay.
3 balls, which could be something what you've decided with your coach you want to work on. So say, for example, you were working on a little bit of club face control in a certain drill. You'd spend these 3 golf balls working on that area of the game.
Okay.
And then not really worrying about ball flight too much, still having a target to go to. And then the final 2, this is where ultimately I'm a big believer in these 2. We're not tuned in enough when we practice, especially if we're someone who pulls a ball, hits, into actually performance on the course. So these 2 would be change of club, change of target, and trying to replicate going through your full routine of what happens on the course on the range.
And are you trying to then, with those 2 balls, trying to lose all kind of technical thoughts of what you've been working on?
Exactly.
Or are you still thinking about that stuff?
I guess that's person to person basis. Personally, I try to get people to have 1, possibly 2 swing thoughts, absolute max. Definitely going more towards losing the swing thoughts than to having them, and almost trying to go, right, okay, this is the swing thought I had, I'm now going to try and hit a draw shot, I'm now going to try and hit a fade shot. Being definitely more tuned into the ball flight, so in sense of a shot I'm going to try and hit, instead of a specific swing thought, which would be the other 3. And I always say to everybody as well, machine gun practice, you could get 100 balls and do them in 20 minutes.
Yes.
I say to all the people that I kind of help out, I say, well, go and get 50 and spend the same time you're hitting 50 as you were 100 or even longer, just by setting them out in 5-ball sets.
Yes.
You take your time, you know what you're working on, and you're actually getting some real-time feedback that's going to help you out on the course.
And you can pay attention to things like your alignment and your posture and all of those good things that make a big difference to your game. So if you are heading to the range, avoid the temptation of pulling a ball, hitting it, pulling another one, hitting it. It can actually do more harm than good. Well, that's my last ball of the session, Alex, and I've hit a bit of a slice there. What's the mistake? What you sent to me, you said people have a last ball syndrome when they practice. What is it, and what's the mistake?
We've only got 1 ball now, 1 chance to hit a good shot. And say, for example, we had 75 balls in our practice session, we're now on the 75th. I really believe that people determine their practice session on what that golf ball does. Right. So if we had 74 good shots and we hit 1 bad one to finish, they remember that one. Well,
that's true, but we're often told when it comes to practice that your last ball needs to be, you're replicating the first tee shot. So if you're warming up to go out and play, often the tour players will say the last shot I hit will be the first shot I hit on the golf course. Yeah. Is that not a good theory to have? Does that put too much pressure on that final ball?
I guess if you perform well and it goes down the range, it's a good thing to do. But I don't want you to feel that that's going to determine how good your practice was. I think if we look at it realistically, a lot of people have probably 1 practice session a week and then go and play at the weekend. And they always lose thought of the 74 good shots or the 50 good shots and go, oh, blooming heck, my last shot on Wednesday was a big slice off to the right. And all they're picturing now on the first tee is the ball doing this.
Yeah.
So again, there's kind of a double-edged sword. If it goes well,
it's great.
It's fantastic. But what I would say is don't put yourself in a situation where it's the be all and end all.
Okay, well, so if you are heading to the range, try not to put too much of an emphasis on what happens with your final shot. So there you have it, those were the 7 biggest practice mistakes. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do hit the like button and also leave some comments below. Was there anything that we were missing from our list? Things that you see when you head to the driving range? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. We'll get Alex on if there's any questions you have to answer them to make sure that you do get the most from your valuable practice time. Guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.